Well, hello everyone. Before I get to the latest episode, we did record it before this, I suppose you could say groundbreaking or just this big news that the UFC has struck a new deal with Paramount Plus and Channel 10 in Australia. So this is for the Australian fight fans out there. We did know this deal did happen already in America, but we weren't sure how it was going to affect everything here in Australia. That was, of course, coming off the back of a $7.7 billion deal, and that was done in the United States, and that was for Paramount to take control of UFC content in America. We weren't sure how this was going to affect the Australian fight fans. I work for Fox Sports. I did check with my contacts when that originally broke, and they said everything will stay the same. But just based on this news that has come out on Wednesday, it is that the Paramount and UFC have come to a deal in Australia, which basically means that you'll need a Paramount Plus subscription. By the look of it, I'm reading headlines that say exclusive streaming rights to Australia in a 7-year deal to begin from 2026. Now, that won't affect pay-per-views because I do believe Foxtel, Main Event, KO, they have that deal locked in for a few more years yet. But it will affect fight nights, which are currently available on ESPN, on KO. If you have Foxtel or KO subscription, that just automatically comes with it. You get all the fight nights, plus you get all the preliminary fights up until the main card of a UFC pay-per-view. So that's what fight fans here have been used to uh, as far as it's been going, the deal like this is how far it's been. But that will mean that the UFC will now be split. You will have to buy the pay-per-view on Main Event or KO, whoever you get it. But if you want to watch the prelims and all the fight nights, it looks like you will need a Paramount Plus subscription. So good and bad, depending on which way you look at it. The press release did say that a few selected events will be simulcast on Network 10, which would be a big deal. That would mean the UFC is back on free-to-air television, which I know hasn't happened in a very long time. I remember one back in the day, which was an offset Channel 10 channel. They used to have some fight nights on there, but it's been a long time. Obviously, Foxtel KO has had the rights for so long. So, look, that is the news. It is a big deal. For UFC, Paramount, just how everything works. That includes 30 UFC fight nights, and you're normally around 13 pay-per-view events per year. So to watch the prelims, you will have to have a subscription to Paramount Plus for those who don't already have it. So, I mean, I work for Fox Sports. A little bit disappointing that it's not going to be on ESPN. That's obviously part of our channel, our umbrella at KO. But if they are free to wear UFC on Australian television, I can't say anything wrong with that. That is a good deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all does play out. But that is the big news breaking. I just wanted to bring it to you before we get kicked in to our regular episode. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Lillingstone, and I have another special returning guest for us today. He's a rock climbing extraordinaire, has done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, and is also a Jon Jones superfan. Zac Marsden, welcome to the show, mate. How you going?
How dare you slander me like that?
Does everyone in our
Thanks for
friend
having me,
group?
Dave.
Does everyone in our friend group hate Jon Jones except me?
Yeah, you're the only one that is still riding that train.
The goat. But
Yeah.
we're
Like,
gonna get into.
I got to admit, like, he definitely is the goat of fighting, but he's also just an awful, like, stain
He's
on
definitely not the
UFC at
goat
the
of being a
same
human
time.
being.
No. Anyway.
No, I totally agree. Now, mate, let's get into it because we are here to break down UFC 321 now. Real bummer for UFC fight fans. This heavyweight division, like we just mentioned on Jon Jones, it has been held up for so long. Tom Aspinall cops an eye poke by Ciryl Gane about 4.5 minutes or so into the first round when Gane had been looking really, really good. And unfortunately, the referee stopped the fight, called it accidental. Tom took his 4 minutes to recover. He said he couldn't see out of the eye. He didn't want to continue. You could tell that obviously it had really affected him. The slow-mo replays make it look pretty bloody nasty, man, for an eye poke. And then they call the fight off. He retains now the undisputed champion. He was upgraded. He was the interim, but he has been upgraded since with Jon Jones going into retirement. And that's the end of this fight, mate. Just as a fight fan watching the main event, first off, tell us how you watched it and how disappointing it was to see it end like that.
Yeah, so I actually watched it on replay, because it was like early in the morning in Australia, so just decided
5
to
a.m. or
uh,
4 a.m. for you guys, even worse in
yeah,
Brisbane.
exactly. So as soon as I got up, put it on, just put the replay on, And yeah, I started watching it on the balcony, and then like halfway through, just like got a text on my phone, and it was like my girlfriend sent me a photo of the eye poke. So I kind of knew
Killer.
the end of the fight before it started, before I saw it in person. And yeah, it was extremely disappointing. I've been hyped on this fight for so long, like seeing like Tom Aspinall getting like just put through the ringer by the UFC, and Jon Jones, like just to see like it end like this after such a long wait, to see him defend the undisputed belt. It was extremely disappointing, and I feel for Tom a lot. Yeah.
So, mate, yeah, we hadn't seen him in the octagon since July 24 last year. That was Curtis Blades' knockout. He was obviously coming off the back of 3 first-round finishes. Before that, had the injury to Curtis Blade, but had otherwise been on an absolute tear in the division. Now, everyone thought we were going to see this Jon Jones fight. There was a $30 million figure thrown about. But now that's sort of a mute point right now, right? Because I feel like there's only one conclusion to this, and they've got to run it back because Gane was looking really good in that first round. He was landing that jab. He bloodied up Aspinall in the nose, which we haven't really seen in the UFC early on. The blood was spurting out of his nose, and Aspinall was sort of on the back foot. Gane has really improved. They've got to run this fight back, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate after such a long time, but you got to run it back. Like Gun was looking good, as you said, but like this was the first time we'd seen Tom Aspinall really kind of like get tested, because like he's just been running through so many contenders. So I guess this is like the first time we've seen him up against someone that isn't just going to roll over or get knocked out from the first punch. This was going to be a real fight, and it's just so disappointing that we just didn't get to see it play out. And just looking at like the heavyweight division, like there's no one else that I'm that excited for coming through. The only other fight that I think I'd be excited for is Alex Pereira, coming up into heavyweight, and he said he was going to make heavyweight great again. I think they were still going to run it back and just give Gane another chance, because that fight looked like it was going to be amazing until it wasn't.
It is very unfortunate. I did want to get into that whole Jon Jones Pereira angle because that is going to now dictate a lot of the heavyweight discussion too. But firstly, I just wanted to bit more on the eye poke. But obviously, there was a lot of debate, and it has been since, even in the office. I know I was at Fox Sports watching that card. Started at 5 a.m. Sydney time, and the debate in the office from majority of people who aren't really UFC fans was like he doesn't want to be in there. He's giving up with this eye poke. Obviously, we can never tell sitting at home how bad an eye poke is. The doctor said it was okay. Aspinall said he couldn't see. Since he's come out, he said he felt like it touched the back of his eyeball, and it was like knuckle deep. And you could sort of see on some of those real slow-mo close-in replays, like as far as eye poke goes, and it was a double eye poke. Let's not forget double eye poke, mate. As far as eye pokes go, that was pretty bad, right? Like one of the worst we've seen.
Yeah, like people saying that he quit, like they've obviously never had a finger knuckle deep in their eye. Like I've had
Knuckle
eye
deep.
pokes in sparring, just a fraction of what that is, and it sucks. Like it takes so much longer than like 4 minutes to recover from as well. Like your eyes are watering, like you just keep blinking. You can't like keep your eye open for an extended period of time. So you're like leaving yourself open. Like honestly, like it sucks, but if Tom couldn't see, then he made the right decision. Like he shouldn't be fighting on if he got fouled. He was like, yeah, if he can't see, he can't fight. It's just the way it is.
And mate, we're not talking about my little boy fingers or Tim Tiny Hands, our friend's fingers. We're talking about Ciryl Gane, 6'5",
Tim catching strays.
250 pounds. You're talking about sausages jamming in your eyes, mate. You know what I mean? We're not talking
Yeah.
about little things like these. This is a big man. And man, I got to say, Gane looked absolutely ripped. What a stud. He looked fit. He looked trim. He looked ready to be in there, and he backed it up with his movement, his performance. I was very impressed. The Ciryl Gane that's burnt into my head is the Ciryl Gane that got subbed by Jon Jones after 2 minutes. Like that's the Gane that's sort of been etched in my brain the last couple of years. But he did not look like that version because he's up against the guy who we're talking about potentially being a GOAT of the heavyweight division based on the run that he has had so far. But man, he looked good, didn't he?
I mean, Gane, like, apart from that one fight, like, he's been a weapon. Him versus like, Tai Tuivasa maybe isn't up against, like, in the caliber of, like, a Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall, but, like, it was an amazing fight that Gane put on against Tai Tuivasa, and, like, he had a pretty good run against, Ngannou as well, and until, like, Ngannou just decided to wrestle the entire time, but, Gane like, had an amazing camp, like, he got some, like champion caliber wrestlers coming into his camp to help him out, and I think it was shown in the fight. Like Tom, who has been taking down people like so easily through the past few years, like he couldn't get close to taking down Gane in that first round. So it would have been interesting when the fight played out and people started getting tired to see how the wrestling would have played into the fight then. But again, it's just unfortunate that we didn't get to see it.
100%, man. He looked like he was on top in that round. I think he had Aspinall a little bit shook. And of course, we have no idea how the next four rounds would have played out. But
No.
man, you could see how devastated he was. I mean, of course, devastated for Aspinall, but you could see Gane after the fight, man. It looked like he was crying in the ring. He got down on his hands and knees long after the decision. And it looked like he was so upset. I mean, obviously, the referee called it accidental. I was happy that it was an accidental eye poke. I don't know how you feel about that, but I mean, you could tell how heartbroken he was because it looked like he was literally crying in there.
I mean, we've talked about, like, the Tom Aspinall lead up to it, where he's been, like, messed over, but this was, Gane's 3rd attempt at the title. So he lost to Ngannou, Jones, and now, like, coming into the fight with Aspinall, like, this would obviously mean so much to Gane to to try to prove the haters wrong, that he is that caliber, like, a championship like, level fighter, and to have, a mistake. Obviously, he didn't mean to cost him the title and like that another opportunity. So, like, he's going into a very very small amount of fighters now that have been in 3 title fights and left not winning any of them. So I think there's only a few fighters that have done that, and if he doesn't win the next one, then might even be by himself with 4. Honestly, that's it's a scary prospect.
I mean, in saying that, one of them is to Jon Jones, a lot of people's GOAT, and Francis Ngannou. I mean, that is a tough, if you're gonna lose,
Yeah.
if you're gonna lose to two people, I mean, those are the two. I get what you mean. It is a tough slog. He's beaten everyone else in the heavyweight division, and I do just want to see that fight run back. And obviously on Aspinall, we've talked about it, but in 18 fights, he's only been to the second round 3 times, lost twice of those. One was a DQ, though, I have to say, and I think he just had a loss early in his career to a submission, a knee bar, and obviously had that injury against Curtis Blades, which was down as a loss, but wasn't really a loss.
No.
So obviously we want to see it, but the other angles of this, and the interesting one, of course, is Jon Jones has been waiting in the wing. I know we're going to get into it. He talks a lot of shit, splits people down the middle. He was obviously out there. Pereira is the one who made the comment. You touched on it before. Let's make the heavyweight division great again. He's called for this fight to be the White House card, which is going to be planned to be in June next year. Now, I've been reading up on it. They want about 5,000 people, they reckon, for this temporary stadium on the White House lawn, which will absolutely be insane if they do get off the ground. But how do these two fights work, mate? Do you want to see, firstly, do you want to see Jon Jones come back, or would you be happy to just see the back of him? But I mean, Pereira Jones, you got to say, as a fight fan, that's a fight that I want to see.
I mean, as a fight fan, you can never say, like, no to a Jon Jones fight. Like, even if you don't like him as a person, as, like, a fighter, he's the best we've ever seen. So, like, to see
What was that,
him
Zach?
he is the fighting GOAT. He's just the worst person ever as well.
Well, I think that's the right
Like,
take.
yeah, so I mean, like, I've been following his journey from his first fight ever in the UFC, and like seeing him like beat up like Stephen Bonner and like all these people coming through as a young fighter, fighting like Rashad Evans and all these like these like amazing
Crumpling Liardo
champions.
Machida.
Yeah,
Liotto.
uh, yeah, and like he's done it all. Like he's and so you can see where he gets that ego. You can see where he's like becomes entitled because like he has done. like, more than anyone. Like, and I think he said, like, he's feeling like a vampire in there, like, he's just been around for so long. And, like, he was the youngest champion, so it just makes sense that, like, I don't know, he only wants to pick and choose right now, but at the same time, he is in a business, and he is an employee in that business, and, there's a lot of people in the world that would love to see him fight the best fighters in the world, and at this time, I guess that is Aspinall and, Pereira, so, I would have loved to see Pereira and Aspinall, but now that Ciryl Gane and, Aspinall have to run it back, like, man, that Jon Jones versus Pereira fight sounds pretty amazing right now. Like, I would not be sad to see that. Oh my god.
What a cracker, man. Like, I mean, they're two of my favorite fighters ever. Alex Pereira is easily my favorite fighter right now. I remember I got to be a few meters away from him at the Sydney card earlier in the year, and man, just the aura he has, it's absolutely incredible. Sharma.
How
Um,
that guy made middleweight is
yeah,
outrageous. Like,
insane,
he is
right?
so big, and he's not even gonna be small at heavyweight. Like, he's gonna be, like, just as big as them, and he was fighting at middleweight. That's outrageous.
But I feel like that is his logical step, right? The way he's come into the UFC late in his career after a storied kickboxing career, had the whole thing with Israel Adesanya, been able to build up, become a two-division champion. For the chance to go to three, I mean, he's the guy, right? Like the run that he's on, it's been absolutely incredible, man. I really want to see it. So we have Jones.
If it's not him, it might be Ilya as well. So like if there's going to be a three division champion, like I think it's either going to be Pereira or Ilya because Ilya's been talking about going up to welterweight to if Islam beats Jack and try to get that third as well. So it's an exciting time for the super fights, but it would also be nice to see champions just defend their belt. So
That is true. Who do you think could do it first? Who would you pick right now?
um so it's a great question. I think the person that's most likely to do it, I think, is Pereira. I think Ilya has got a lot to do at lightweight. There's a lot of fights that we'd want to see before he vacates and moves up to welterweight. And there's a lot of fights we want to see at welterweight. Like if Jack gets through Islam, there's like he hasn't fought anyone in the top 10. So it's just like there's so many fights that we want to see Jack like get before he fights another lightweight coming up. So so I think like the person that's earned the right for the chance is Alex. Ilya's still got a lot to do at lightweight before I think he can move up. So that's my personal take on it.
No, you do make a good point. I mean, Pereira is in the position too where, he's an injury away from being shoved into a main event too, potentially. If one of those guys goes down, interim title on the line or whatever may happen between Gane and Aspinall in the near future. But I think that is the future though, man. I'd love to see Jones Pereira, and I think we have to see Gane Aspinall. So that's some exciting fights, man. So maybe the heavyweight division will be great again. We'll see.
You
Um,
never know. If you go down like the heavyweight division as a whole, it's looking pretty dire. So if we can just get a few like great fights up at the top end of that caliber of fighters, then I mean like I'm here for it.
It's always been a bit of a cursed division in the UFC, man. They've never quite been able to pull it together. I always go back as an old school fan to Fedor. The fact they never got Fedor in the UFC was like just a massive just blight on the company that they couldn't bring the best heavyweight in. And Brock Lesnar, it was awesome, but then in injuries, there's always been something going on in that division. So
And then when USADA came in, they're like Alistair Overeem decided it just shrunk, and so there was like these insane like heavyweights that then became not so insane and just so yeah the pre USADA era was a great time for for the heavyweight division, but yeah I guess things change when the sport it becomes a little bit more legitimate.
it's a good thing too. But let's hope that 2026 is the year, man. I got some high hopes for it. Let's get into the co-main. Obviously, we had a women's strawweight title on the line. Mackenzie Dern versus Verna Jandiroba. Bit of a war, man. Like they went for it. I know I've a lot of friends who are Mackenzie Dern fans for various reasons. But that was
What
a
are those reasons
I had no idea, mate. But that was a war in there. You could see when the decision was ran out, they were both pretty bloodied. So they put it all on the line, and Mackenzie Dern gets the unanimous decision. Two judges had it 48-47. One had it 49-46. What did you make of the fight, mate?
Yeah, like it was a great fight. They both like went to war, as you said. For Mackenzie Dern, like her stand-ups definitely improved. Like she's always been great on the ground. It was good to see her like put together like some quality like jabs and just kind of like putting some pressure on. And like I'm just super stoked for Mackenzie Dern after like such a long journey in the UFC. Like coming in just as like a jiu-jitsu specialist, like pretty much learning how to strike in the UFC. It's just great to see that like Mackenzie's journey and to see how far she's come. I think she's only the second person to win like the ADCC Brazilian Championship as well as the UFC Championship. So I think the other one was Fabricio Verdum. So it's just like so she's in like a special group of people that can be a champion jiu-jitsu as well as a champion in the UFC.
100%, man. She had a very storied BJJ career, like you mentioned. Won it back in 2015, the ADCC World Championship in Sao Paulo. And she's won a ton of medals in BJJ before making the switch to MMA. So she's done a great job to get to the top. Obviously, that was because Wei Li vacated the title as well because she's moving up. So a war, mate. I just want to go through the other main card fights quickly. But Umar Nurmagomedov, he bounced back with a unanimous decision win. And Alexander Volkov also bounced back from his loss previously. Got a split decision. The guy that I did want to touch on though was to kick off the main card was Azamat Murkanazkov. I think I just butchered that.
Menakino.
M-
What is his name? Just like give me a sec.
Murzakanov. I'm gonna go Murzakanov.
Mizakhinov.
So I did
Yeah,
butcher
yeah.
that.
That guy. What I love is the visual of the weigh-in where there's Rakic, Mirzakhanov, and just like how you would just anyone's going to be betting on Rakic. He's huge. He just looks so athletic. Like you would never want to fight this guy. And then on the other side, he's short. Like he doesn't look athletic at all. And it just goes to show like it's not all about the look. Like oh my god, that was a right hand little jab, just put him out. Like
Beautiful.
it was an insane like strike to knock someone out as massive as Rakic.
Beautiful knockout, mate. Light heavyweight, like you mentioned, he's on the smaller side, 180 centimeters for those big boys. He's now 16-0, so
Yeah, it's wild.
he's quietly building a bit of a resume there. That now takes him to three straight TKO or knockout finishes, back to back in the first round as well. So he is putting together a resume to be up there in contention. He has crazy knockout power, even for a smaller guy. And he's got a sub or two, or he's got one sub on his record, but obviously one to watch, mate. And then also the main card, the preliminary fight, the Australian
Oh
on
yes.
short notice, Quillen
Oh,
soul killed
that guy.
against Nasrat Hasprast. The head kick knockout, mate. One of the cleanest we're going to see this year, if not ever. First round, 2.5 minutes into it, I was in the office watching it live. Now, the backstory to this is he takes the fight, the Perth product. I don't know what it is about Perth and MMA fighters, mate, but fuck,
They're
they
doing
do
something
well.
right over there. Yeah.
Mate, what's in the water? I guess there's nothing else to do. No. But mate, 10 days notice, and had to drop 13 kilos. That's what he said to take this fight. 13 kilos in 10 days notice, mate. Holy shit! Like how incredible for him to go and do that and then pull off what he did in there.
Yeah, what an amazing performance! Like Quinlan's been killing it ever since being in the UFC. He I actually wasn't a fan of his to start off with, because I have a very good friend Don Marfam who fights professionally as well, and his only two losses are to Quinlan. So before he got in the UFC, I was not a fan of Quinlan at all. So Quinlan submitted Dom two times, and Dom is like a jiu-jitsu champion in Australia. Like he's insane wrestling, and to submit someone of the caliber of Dom, it's just goes to show the caliber that Quinlan has on the ground, and to see that now he's getting those knockouts as well. It's just I'm excited to see this guy's potential. Shout out to the Street Buddha as well, Dom. Like his on the road to the UFC fighting tournament right now. So he's had 2 victories in that. So he might be in the UFC soon as well. So I'm pretty psyched.
To get him on the pod, mate.
Yeah, man. I could definitely hook that up.
All right, let's chat after for sure. Yeah, mate, awesome record. I mean, that now takes Salkiel to 9-1. Now he just lost his first fight, so he is on a 9-fight winning streak, and that was his 3rd fight in the UFC, coming off the Contender Series as well, mate. So man, one to watch. Australia, mate. We just keep doing it in MMA. And speaking of Australia, because I'm going to segue very nicely into the next pay-per-view, mate. That is UFC 322. So we'll do a podcast closer to the date, but just want to get your thoughts. How excited are you?
Flawless transition.
Yeah, you see Jack Della Maddalena, man, Islam Makhachev, the chance to avenge Alexander Volkanovski. There's plenty of storylines itself. The fact that a lot of people didn't even think Jack could be here. And by the way, too, that card absolutely stacked. Valentina Shevchenko, Wei Li moving up to flyweight to try and take her on. Bo Nickel trying to bounce back. Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates. Benoit Saint Denis, Benil Dariush. Like, there is just Tracy Cortez. Let's not forget our girl Tracy. Mate,
Oh yeah.
absolutely stacked 322. How excited are you?
Yeah, I mean, Jack's gonna get one back for Volk, baby. Let's go. I,
Let's go.
I'm so excited for this fight. Like, I think Jack has got such a good chance of doing well against Islam. Like, not saying it's going to be easy, but like I think he's got the skills to do it. Like, his boxing is crisp. Like, he does kick, but like I think his kicking's probably going to be a little like measured, and maybe just rely on the boxing just so he's not going to be so easy to take down. Like, his like scrambles on the ground against Bilal were like such high quality. He's got such a good team. He's got Craig Jones, like the same person that was preparing Volk for his fights in his camp. Volk has come in to give him pointers and train with him as well. Like, I guess they're all the tools are there for him to get it done. So I am so excited to see Jack versus Islam. This has been like the one that I'm waiting for all year.
Dude, 100%, man. I reckon that's probably going to be just about the most hype card besides Volk coming back. But for me, yeah, this is right up there. Just the fact that the card's actually a decent, well-rounded main card, which has been pretty rare this year in the UFC. But like you mentioned there, man, he's grappling out of sight, out of mind, the improvement against Bilal. Before that, I think there were fears he might have just been relying on that knockout power early in the UFC career. But then he's just backed it up, man. The way he could roll beautifully out of his positions on the ground against Bilal, man, that was some of just A-grade, beautiful class jiu-jitsu wrestling you're ever going to see. Amazing to see. And then just quickly, mate, I know Robbie Whittaker came out earlier in the week and said he wouldn't be fighting on the Sydney card. There's a big rumor they were trying to do a big Sydney card next year. And then Volkanovski, obviously still a little bit up in the air. A bit of a shame we can't just have like some big Aussies fight on the east side. I know it's not Brisbane still, but Sydney, they take all these big fights to Perth. I really want to see Whittaker and Volk fight on a card before they retire, right? Before one of them retires. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I saw. We have seen Whitaker, by the way,
We did.
back in Brisbane. Back when was it? 2015 or
Well, I
something?
think I went. Did you at the Gold Coast card with us? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking to the one at the entertainment center, the Bigfoot versus
The
Mark Hunt.
five round war.
The
I remember that. But
war. He was on that card as well.
Well,
So
well, okay, I've seen him twice. I'm sorry I blanked on Robbie there because I saw the Smashers finale with Trent back in
oh
2012, I think it was, and that was at the
damn,
Gold Coast.
that
Yeah,
is a blast from the past.
yeah,
Oh my
that
god,
was the
the
Gold Coast
smashes.
Convention Center. We hired the hotel across the road,
Of
made a boys'
course.
weekend, and Ross Pearson and George Soteropoulos main
Yeah.
event, and Robbie won to win the Smashers that Ultimate Fighter
Oh,
season. So
wow.
I'd love.
That brings it back some memories,
Uh,
that show.
That's how long
Wow.
we've been UFC fans for, man. It's been a very
Yeah,
long
for sure.
time.
Yeah.
So it's good to see. But anyway, mate,
Um, but yeah, like, and like with that card, like there's still so many good Australian and New Zealand fighters that could be on that card. So like Carlos Alberg, like his next in line for the light heavyweight title. Like Adesanya hasn't fought in a minute. Like there's definitely some good fighters, and you never know what happens with Jack right here. Like if he like finishes the fight like healthy and like he could be the one headlining that card. So, but I know like Volk or Robert Whittaker, they're probably like the 1 and 2 like biggest like iconic Australian UFC MMA fighters. So it'd be amazing to see at least Volk. Like Volk, I would love to see fight live. Like that would be outrageous.
That's on my sports bucket list, I think, before I go. Like, I didn't get to that Perth card a few years ago, and he's one guy that I think I just love to see fight before he hangs it up, mate. It'd be amazing to see. So hopefully, Sydney, 2026, the heavyweight division's great again. Volkanovski's fighting in Sydney in front of his hometown crowd. Let's bring it on, baby. Zac, thanks again for joining us, mate. I know you said you wanted to get in the UFC pod, so it was good. You know your stuff, so it was good to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Nah, thanks for having me, Dane.
Legend. All right, guys, go Jon Jones, go Zac. He's starting the fan club. If you want to message him, you can sign up and get everything you need to there. So thanks everyone for listening. Oh, he's loving me for this. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you for support. You can follow us on socials. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.